What was it? You just had to keep trying?
Yeah, it was just being,
That's good
hey,
for me to
we
know.
did it.
Are we live?
Take that, Facebook.
Hold on, let me just check. I don't see us in the group. Hang on.
You don't? It says we're live. We're live somewhere.
Live somewhere. Oh, we are. Yay, we did it.
You guys, Facebook always tries to shut down the best information. I don't know if you've noticed, but they're not winning. They're not winning.
You have to but imagine like Zoom has what? I mean, more than quadrupled its usership
Oh,
in the
yeah.
past couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So Zoom plus Facebook changes. But
Yeah.
hey, we made it in only 8 minutes late.
So, you guys, hi, we're so excited. Sarah and I actually came together because, like, I know for me, both of my kids have really great biohacking stories around both anxiety and anger. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely, I think those are very common feelings right now that many of us are feeling. And Sarah actually has a background in health psychology. So she and I were just kind of chatting and thought, you know, our community is filled with self care and DIY resources. So if you're feeling like you need additional resources in addition to what we share with you tonight, just drop resources as a comment in the group, and we are happy to bombard you with many other things. But I feel like it's really critical that we address stress, like the idea of stress and the stress around trauma, both the trauma that we're experiencing right now in the moment. And I think also the trauma that is being old trauma that might be being kicked up or drudged up because of the new trauma. There's probably a fancier way to say that, right, Sarah?
No, I mean, it's like a crisis, just like we talk about healing,
Oopsie.
a crisis now that's triggering old wounds.
Yeah, for sure. So I can't see your do you want to screen share? There we go. So tonight we really kind of wanted to dive into, biohacking, the emotional impact of home seclusion, which I know we're very much feeling. And there's a lot of different things that we can do. As I said, drop resources in the comments. If something that we touch on tonight, you're feeling like you need more than that. But I wanted to talk about what is biohacking first. And it's basically leveraging the environment around you and within you. I don't know, is there anything you wanted to add to that, Sarah?
No, I think that's perfect. It's just a all-encompassing way of addressing the things we can and can't control in our environment and our bodies.
Yep. Do you want to hit the next screen? So obviously, you guys, this is really hard. We're clearly in a time of stress, and people are experiencing, like I said, lots of depression, anxiety, the effects of stored trauma. We're feeling angry. I know for me, my emotions are all over the map. And even today, I was joking online. I wasn't joking, but I went for a walk outside. I went for a 4 mile walk with friends, and we were social distancing. We were on opposite sides of the street. But even just having that conversation, that in-person conversation, and being outside in the sunshine and getting movement, I felt like a different human. I felt very mentally stable when I got back in the car after that. But 2 hours later, I was crying. And I think a lot of people are really experiencing that. So we kind of just wanted to share, what do we do? So it was actually Sarah found a really interesting, was it a study by Jennifer Lang? Go ahead.
Yeah. It was a study that was talking about how individuals who exercise at a moderate intensity, so moderate means your heart is elevated, you can still talk while you're working out, so not completely out of breath. So 40 minutes a day, 3 to 5 times per week, they experience the greatest mood boosting benefits. So a lot of people I know will be like, oh, well, I went for a really long walk or I jogged and I didn't feel the endorphin rush. I didn't feel good. Well, maybe you need to be more consistent. Maybe just try 3 to 5 days a week. So even walking, just like walking where you have to bend your elbows, that can be a great way to do this moderate exercise jumping on a trampoline. I've heard people say rebounder. I think it's a mini trampoline, but a big trampoline works too. And funny story, I'm completely against trampolines for kids because their bones are still in development. But guess what I bought the first week that we were in home seclusion? Like, I looked at swimming pools and they were really, really expensive and they would kill my grass. So I went for the trampoline, and so far we're good. No injuries.
The trampoline might also kill your grass. We have one.
Well, I move it every 3 days. So,
Oh my gosh.
it's
All
a
right.
new chore and it's good exercise.
Oh my
But
gosh.
there's an abundance of home workouts that are online. Some people are doing free ones in addition to paid ones. I've found a couple that I really, really love. So if anyone's curious about workouts, just say workouts and maybe some other people can chime in on what they're doing at home. But the whole point of doing that movement is to release the endorphins, which is one of the most natural tools we can use against all these negative feelings that we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. So I could riff all day long on eating for mood and nutrition, but do you kind of want to talk about maybe like bulletproof coffee and the fat and intermittent fasting?
Sure, I can. Food is it's so unique for everyone, right? For some people, there's like emotional eating for satisfaction. Then there's people who just really are food is take it or leave it. But if you can make some smart decisions about types of food, you can do a lot for your brain. Bulletproof coffee, if you want to see a recipe, I think there's a couple in our community. So just say like bulletproof coffee and we can make sure you find it. But adding high quality grass-fed butter and or MCT oil, which is like a more intense form of coconut oil or just straight MCT. There's a couple other varieties out there, but if you add those with coffee or tea, not only can it help with appetite control and it makes you feel full for a while because of the healthy fat, but can improve your energy and your focus. So these are some great things to do. And if you're not a coffee person, we'll have a couple suggestions for you here in a bit. But really, it's about fat. Eating enough fat will also help if you find yourself reaching for sugar during this time, because I know even for me, baking seemed like something that I wanted to do, which is not my norm. And I think it's a combination of boredom and fatigue, which is a normal response to stress in our bodies. If you focus on eating high quality fat, you can help remove some of that craving and just feel satisfied. But definitely take a break between meals and then consider intermittent fasting or even full blown fasting. And I will say that if you have never fasted before, it would be my personal recommendation that you try just more of an intermittent fasting to begin with, because if your blood sugar drops for the first time during fasting, you can experience a very huge dip in your mood, and it can be irritability. It could even be a depressive feeling. Not everyone is like that, but it just depends on your body. And I know that was my first experience, and I read about it, that it's actually a thing. So I needed to work up to that. Plus, eating a diet higher in fat can help with that.
You want to hit the
Do
next
you want me
slide?
to cover this one? What's that?
Yeah, no, go ahead. At some point, I want to talk about my kids' stories, but go ahead, talk about their sirtuins. Maybe I'll talk about that when we get to some of the other products.
For sure. So sirtuins, they're a funny little word that Joy and I probably have learned more about in the past 10 months or so than we ever thought possible. They are found in all living organisms, and they're heavily involved in aging and something called apoptosis, which is the ridding of dead cells in your body, like churning those dead things out of your body, which is something that intermittent fasting is really good for. They're also involved in inflammation, DNA repair, and gene communication. So all of that sciencey stuff to say that it plays a huge role in mood and even mental disorders. So if there is a SIRT1, that's a type of sirtuin, there's a lot of mood disorders and even major depressive disorder related to that particular organism, that's SIRT1. And whenever there's abnormal or insufficient sirtuins, you can have those conditions. So it's something that you can do with fasting. And also we're going to talk about this Protandim NAD synergizer. It's the only synergizer on the market that has been shown to increase sirtuin activity by 100% in 24 hours. That's what this little chart shows here. Caloric restriction, which is fasting, has also been shown to increase sirtuin activity by 94%. So again, if the blood sugar drop is something you're concerned with, I prefer the NAD synergizer to that, so I don't have to go through those ill effects. But if you're a professional faster, it's, you're getting both types of benefits, but there's a few other benefits with the NAD that might benefit you as well. But toss that over to you, Joy.
So I could talk about oxidative stress all day long, you guys. Just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, the apple is a really good analogy. When you cut the apple in half and it turns brown, it's turning brown because the cells of the fruit are being exposed to what we call free radicals in the air. The free radicals in the air are happening because we have environmental toxins that we're exposed to. Wi-Fi is the one that I like to use the best example of. My kids, I'm super crunchy. My kids sleep on organic mattresses. We eat organic food. I, don't use plastic. I drink out of glass. I've really tried to address the free radical or the environmental toxin situation in my house, yet we still had high levels of oxidative stress, as evidenced by a story that I'll tell you in a second about my daughter. So when we think about the aging process, it's really, this apple is a great analogy. When we breathe in that air with the oxidative stress in it, our cells are literally rusting from the inside out, and that is the aging process. You can't avoid it. It happens to everybody. So how can we reduce our stress, you guys? Obviously, right now, we're all under really high stress and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I have been doing all kinds of things that never in a million years would I have ever really considered doing. I'm open to meditation and breath work and something called emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, all things that I would have been nope, not going to do before. Really trying to manage my own mental health, to be honest with you. And there's only so much that we can do, right? The situation is the situation. So I think it's even more critical that we're addressing this oxidative stress. And the analogy that I really like to use is, I don't know how many of you are parents out there or parents that have cooked dinner with an infant, but I love to think about how many times I would cook dinner when my kids were little and I have a baby on one hip and I have one hand, and maybe I have a toddler or a kid playing at my feet. And yes, I could cook dinner, right? But it wasn't nearly as efficient as if my significant other came home and decided to take the kids for an hour. All of a sudden I have two hands in an hour, and I make dinner and I probably check my email and unload the dishwasher and wipe down the counters, and I folded a laundry, and I'm probably on the phone talking to somebody the whole time I'm doing it, right? That's what happens when your body is under less stress. It's the same thing. It becomes more efficient. Our body is always looking to move towards a state of healing. Okay. So sure, in an ideal world, everyone's going to have an organic mattress and eat organic food and, not use plastic and have, really healthy marriages and relationships. And, maybe everybody should be turning their Wi-Fi off at night. I mean, heck, it would be great if we all lived off grid and none of us were exposed to 5G or anything like that, and we all had whole house water filters. But that's not the reality for everybody. Okay. So we have to be looking for how can we get the most leverage. And it's reducing this environmental stress or the oxidative stress, which coincidentally, as we were researching for this, the environmental, reducing the environmental toxins directly impacts your immunity as well, which is a relevant topic right now. So what's the solution, right? We could all overhaul our whole house, but I think given the current economic state, nobody's going to be going out and getting all brand new pots and pans right now. I mean, maybe, but probably not. And I think that we've been conditioned in this society to drink superfood shakes and eat acai bowls and celery juice and kale salads and all of that. It's all great. I'm not at all saying that we shouldn't do that. But a blueberry, the one antioxidant approximately in one blueberry combats one free radical molecule. It's not exact science, so bear with me. This is kind of ish, but we're exposed to 300 septillion free radicals every single day per day. Okay. So the product that we wanted to talk about was something called NRF2, and it activates a protein pathway in our body that literally tells your body to reduce its own stress, because it's going to flood your system with glutathione, which I know is a huge buzzword right now, considering the current situation, superoxide dismutase, which is SOD, and catalase. So it's fighting off those free radicals at 1,000,000 to 1, which is huge leverage, which is something that we all so desperately need right now. So basically what Nerf 2 is, this slide is kind of blurry, so you can't see it, but it's turmeric, bacopa, green tea, ashwagandha, and milk thistle. And it's the combination or the synergy of those ingredients that work together. So it's very different than a supplement, right? It doesn't work the same way as a supplement does. You literally take these, and the synergy of the ingredients tells your body's own genetics to turn on its own antioxidant production. And we have science that shows that it reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and upregulates glutathione levels by 300% in 30 days. We also have shown that it extends life in male mice by 7%. You can move on. I kind of wanted to, I didn't look at the slides. I wanted to share, if it's all right, Sarah, just kind of the story about my daughter really quickly. Like I said, you know, she didn't eat food coloring. She ate organic food. She's actually a kid that likes kale and salmon. She slept on an organic mattress because I learned pretty quickly she was coughing. I think her old mattress had mold on it, so we upgraded her. Long story short, she had a lot of temper tantrums. She was an angry kid and couldn't manage her emotions, which I don't know about you, but I think a lot of people are experiencing that right now. And even though we lived a really healthy lifestyle, she had temper tantrums every day. She was the kid that literally, if I asked her to move her shoes or suggested that she eat the kale or finish her sandwich, she would fling herself on the ground and have a temper tantrum for like sometimes an hour. And it never, ever would have occurred to me that that inability to manage her emotions was connected to oxidative stress, because we lived such a healthy lifestyle and such an organic lifestyle. I just thought that was who she was. I thought it was part of her personality. And it's kind of a fluke how we figured out how activation of reducing her oxidative stress significantly helped her mood. Once we activated her and her oxidative stress was reduced, you guys, literally on a dime, within 24 hours, those temper tantrums went away. And so when Sarah and I were talking, you know, yes, there's a bazillion resources we can give you with meditation and all of that, but sometimes the effects of those take a little while. And I just think this is such a powerful tool that we can leverage, that I just feel so strongly people need to know about it. It matters so much, always, but particularly now. Do you want to talk about the research, Sarah?
Yeah. So with the background in health psychology, I'm always, you know, interested in listening to people's stories and like hearing, you know, what Joy's experienced with their family. But if you are someone who likes to see the cold hard facts, if you go to PubMed, you can type in the word protandem and you will pull up 26 peer-reviewed, independently funded studies, which means that someone else paid with their own money to do the studies on protandem. And a couple, one of them was done by a pharmaceutical company that compared their own Nerf2 activator to ours, and they actually determined that protandem works better than their own. So there's a lot of research out there on this, and there's also something fun to do, fun for people like me. If you like to look up the word oxidative stress in PubMed, you'll find well over 217,000 entries now, just further showing you how important oxidative stress is in terms of being well and just overcoming things. And you could even type in oxidative stress and anxiety, oxidative stress and depression, and just see how oxidative stress is related to how we feel and how our moods are impacted. And obviously we know you could even do oxidative stress and crisis and see what you would find there. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. But these other institutions were super impressed with NRF2 activation because, like Joy said, it's a pathway in the body. So it's a well-known thing that it exists, and a lot of companies, pharmaceutical companies and general health institutions are interested in doing this research to see what can you do when you activate the NRF2 pathway. It gets super nerdy, and I encourage you to do research if that's something that you like to do. In addition to the NRF2 pathway, our company being one of the leading biohacking companies, if not the first, found another pathway that, again, NRF1 pathway existed in science already. It was already labeled within the body, but it was related to the second most common factor when you look at illness and disease. So when you activate the NRF1 pathway, you can improve mitochondrial function. One of my nurse friends likes to call it a mitochondrial builder. So it just makes them healthier, more resilient. So this impacts people because of energy and sleep. And in general, if you can improve the energy within your cells, then obviously your body could function better because it's carrying out all these processes for you throughout the day. And NRF1 is an interesting product because of what it can do for our children. And I'm trying to be really compliant in what I'm saying because of things like focus and just general, what do you call it? Just feeling comfortable and even keel. I think you might have like a better way of saying it, Joy.
So, again, we're not saying that we can cure, treat, mitigate anything, right? I'm just sharing my particular observation, what happened when we activated my children. When my daughter has struggled with what I would call anxiety, her whole life. Like I really noticed it. I don't think I knew what it was called. When she was probably 2 or 3, there were some things that happened that I was like, whoa, like I don't know where that's coming from, but it's not really, didn't seem normal. And I kind of went on this whole journey. Eventually it was labeled anxiety by NIH. We tried magnesium, we tried cognitive behavioral therapy, we tried breath work, we tried tapping, we tried essential oils, we tried osteopathy, chiropractic. Like, I was doing all of the things, and they honestly, like, they worked. They took the edge off, but when she was under a lot of stress, the anxiety would flare. So now people are probably under a lot of stress, and maybe something that felt like it was once in control is flaring again. That's what I'm getting when I talk to people. And so it was just really interesting. I didn't know, nobody ever told me, but I think she had what's called mitochondrial dysfunction. And I noticed that when we activated the NRF1 pathway for her, her anxiety went away. Like, to the point that if it were to flare again, I could activate her pathway more and the anxiety goes away. And I know that it's connected. So the mitochondria is the battery of our cell, right? It's what converts the food energy into cellular energy. And over the summer, there was an incident where, I activated her pathway a little bit more. And she woke up the next day and she's like, Mommy, I don't know what she's 13. She goes, this isn't going to work because I'm eating too much food. She was starving, but the anxiety was gone. So it's been really interesting for me to see how activating my kids' pathways has changed their behavior.
I love it. Yeah. So together, the R is in the wrong spot. So together, these three things activate the three pathways in the body, which is unlike anything that you can do, anything you can buy out there. But most notably is this. And this, again, sorry for being the nerdy one in the room here, but this represents something that is patent pending. The Tri-Synergizer itself is patent pending because these funky little graphs here are showing you the difference between just using NRF2 by itself or using it with the Tri-Synergizer. And the same in the middle. This is NRF1 by itself versus with the Tri-Synergizer, the blue graph. And finally, the NAD by itself, the first one, the little gray bar, and then the Tri-Synergizer, all three of these together, the blue bar. It doesn't take a math genius to see how much more these three things work together. And that's pretty remarkable. So for people that are just really feeling like, hey, if I have to choose between feeling great and not feeling great, this is a great thing, especially considering, some people can feel the effects of it pretty quickly. Some people don't feel it right away, but still, The research is there for it. And speaking of feeling something right away, um, let's talk about this brain food. Joy, I feel like, again, this is like great for you to explain because you being a nutrition nerd and everything.
So you'll appreciate this, Sarah. So Sarah is for sure like the science nerd in the house. Like I'm not. And it's funny, I actually don't talk about Axio a ton because I don't understand the science of it. But I joke and say that if you dropped me on a desert island and told me that I had a choice between food, clothing, and Axio, I would have to think about what I'm going to bring because that's how much a difference Axio makes for my overall mental well-being. I am someone due to my own genetics. I have MTHFR and like multiple genetic SNPs that like aren't necessarily in my favor for when it comes to mood stuff or focus stuff. I have taken Adderall in the past. I haven't in years since I've had kids, but I've taken Wellbutrin. Like I've taken stuff to try to fix the issue. And I gotta say, Axio, it removes that. I don't have like depression, like I'm gonna jump off a cliff, but I have this depression my whole life that just felt like making a phone call or like making an appointment felt really hard. Sometimes brushing my teeth felt really hard. Like I would just be on the couch scrolling and like just felt unmotivated, which I do think was a low level depression and focus issues. I can't even tell you. I joke and say like the first time that I took this for 3 days, I was really, really skeptical about it, you guys. I don't know why, because it's a pink drink. Like, I don't know. I was just kind of rolling my eyes. And everyone was raving about it. So I was like, fine, I'll try it. And my third day, I called my friend. I was in the Trader Joe's parking lot and I started to cry. And I was like, what is this feeling? I have this weird feeling in my heart. Is this happiness? Are these tears of joy? Like what is going on? And I called my friend and I'm like, can Axio make you happy? She's like, oh dude, yes. So Sarah, maybe you can actually explain the science of why it works, but I'm here to say that there is no way on a day-to-day basis that I would want to go without Axio now that I've tried it. And I can't imagine being in this pandemic in this situation without this stuff. Like I'm telling everyone, like you guys need to take it. Just trust me.
Yeah. So my personal interest in it was when I saw a couple of the medical professionals who are involved in our company talking about the cumulative benefits and how it actually impacts the brain in a good way, and it helps more over time. So it's almost like if you do this on a daily basis, the benefits are compounded over time just in general. And the reason that it's so beneficial is it's a food. It provides the B vitamins, the DMAE and such goes in through the blood-brain barrier. So it actually impacts the cognitive function of your brain. That's enough said. So that's not what you read when you go pick up a Red Bull, right? Or whatever you want to say, like coffee. It doesn't say like, ooh, this is going to impact the function of your brain, the cognitive function of your brain. It doesn't say that. It just gives you spazzy energy. And that's not what this is. It's actually, one of the first times I realized it was doing something to me, I said, I just feel like I'm bulletproof right now. I feel like this mental energy of like, yeah, if a whole bunch of poop were to hit the fan right now, I could handle it. No problem. It was just a weird thing. And I know as a mom, I don't think I ever felt like that before because, one more thing was going to put me over the edge. I don't feel that way anymore. And I think I just think that's astounding. So especially in this situation, I can't imagine, I'm up to 2 Axio a day right now because, to deal with stuff that we're going through together as a community. But
can I say one more thing on that though?
yeah,
I actually am someone, so I have a caffeine sensitivity. That's something else about my genetics. I cannot, even decaf coffee will give me like heart palpitations and I can't do it. Even green tea, I have to be really careful with. For whatever reason, like you were saying, this is like a stable energy that shows up in my brain. It doesn't make me jittery. I can really tolerate this. Granted, I don't recommend drinking it for the very first time at 2 in the afternoon.
yeah, and don't chug it because with the B vitamins, it can do some really great stuff for helping your body detoxify. Um, yeah, we would be really irresponsible if we didn't touch at least a little bit on gut health. And because it's sometimes called the second brain, uh, if your gut is not right, if it's not healthy and in a really good symbiotic relationship thing going on, then you're going to feel the effects of this situation that we're encountering quite a bit more. So a good quality probiotic helps restore the gut bacteria in your body, and then a prebiotic actually feeds those good bacteria that you're putting into your gut. What I love about this particular probiotic, and I'm really picky, this one has a wrap on it called Wellmune, and it helps it stay intact and reach your gut, the lower and the upper intestines, so that you can get the beneficial bacteria where they need to be. And that's kind of unheard of, especially with a shelf stable product, especially at this price point. So for my kids, I love it, just because I know that the little bits of probiotic that I'm getting into them, because those gummies and the powders and stuff, I've just never trusted that they would get into the gut. But these I really like. And the prebiotic too is one of the ones that some of my functional nutritionist friends really like because of the ingredients. It's really clean, and easy on the digestive system.
It tastes really good in Axio too.
Yeah, it's blood orange flavor, and I drink it straight. It's pretty good. Before your last meal, and I'll never forget, it helps with the hunger hormone ghrelin, so it
Mhm.
kind of suppresses that in a way, so it can be beneficial for mood suppression or appetite suppression.
Or I would
So
say it would help tame emotional eating right now too, like if you're just not hungry.
right, and it's got like a nice fruity kick to it, so it's kind of like a sweet drink in itself, so that kind of helps. But
So yeah, so like we said before, if you're feeling like you need like, obviously getting a good night's sleep is critical right now. Getting out in sunshine for vitamin D is critical. Making sure you're drinking lots of water and that you are doing something to mitigate the emotional, like the mental impact. Do you know what I mean? So yes, reducing oxidative stress, like all of these products that we mentioned, I wholeheartedly stand behind. And also, it's not the only thing you should be doing. Okay. And I would say the same thing for if you're meditating and sleeping well and getting outside. I still don't think that's all that you should do. I think it's the whole package right now is what we need to be looking at. Would you add anything to that, Sarah?
just if you are in just feeling like taking your own life is something that you're feeling right now, which is a very real thing, I just wanted to give out the hotline number. It's 1-800-273-8255. Um, that call center has been seeing an influx in calls. So I just want to put that out there. If there's anyone that's feeling, pretty extreme, there's someone there to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for that. So if there's anything here that you're interested in getting more information about, please drop info in the comments or reach back out to the person who invited you to the event tonight. And we're happy to get you information, whether it's, a link to order and figure out what is best for your personal situation. Or if you just want more information, we can get you that too. Thanks, you guys. Bye. Have a great night.